The biggest obstacle that blocks people from being able to work through conflict with their partner most effectively is their inability to take full accountability for their actions, their role in the issues that are at hand, right? That pride and that ego really gets in the way. Now, why does it get in the way? Well, because in our hearts, none of us wants to be a bad person. And a lot of times we equate being wrong with being bad in some way, because usually when you're quote unquote wrong, you get reprimanded for it, right? You get a bad experience. You get negativity pointed your way. You get told, oh, you're horrible, whatever it is. And we internalize that and we want to do everything to fight against that because internally we want to go to bed at night feeling like we are a good individual. Hell, the very reason you would argue against someone in the first place is if you feel you have the more correct or the more just perspective and you're fighting for them to see what you believe is correct. And the thing that gets us the most is because we internally never intend to be the bad person, the bad guy, part of the problem, then it makes it so much harder for us to see how some of our actions or reactions are contributing to that problem. Why? Because we can't see ourselves from the outside looking in. We can't experience ourselves, right? But we are experiencing what we see with our eyes and our ears and so forth, or what we hear and everything else, right? So we can see how our partner's responding to us or how they're approaching us, but we rarely can fully see and experience how we come off and how we are contributing to their headspace and why they're choosing to respond to us the way they are. And so because we can't see ourselves and don't know what it truly looks like or feels like to experience us whenever it's in a conflict situation, we might be self-aware pretty well, right? We might be aware of some things, but we can't fully experience us because we are the one bringing the experience, right? And then on top of that, we don't want to be the bad person. So we're more inclined to point fingers at the actions of your partner, how they may be responding to you, and justify how we respond to them. And this is where it all unravels, because at that point, no one's taking full accountability for their own actions. Yeah, your partner can do something that's really negative, toxic, whatever, and it could be offensive to you, triggering, and then you respond to that, or you react, I'll say. You're not responding unless you're giving thoughtfulness into how you choose to respond to get a better result, right? Usually we react, fight fire with fire kind of analogy. You give me the smoke, I give it back to you. And so it's you giving that negative energy back that you feel justified in because of how your partner's reacting to you or even approaching you, that you feel gives you credence to say, hey, how I reacted was justified. And maybe so in the world of tit for tat and all is fair kind of a thing, right? But in the world of love and harmony and peace, you're just adding more issues to your own equation. So what that means is every time you utter out of your mouth, why you're doing this thing that's not positive, not healthy, not helpful to the situation, right? And you say, I'm doing this thing or responding this way because of what they did or what they're doing, you just pushed off accountability for your own actions on your partner. And it helps you subconsciously still feel like you're being a good person because you're justified in how you're responding. Instead of taking full ownership and accountability to be responsible for your actions and say, hey, yeah, they may have responded to me in a negative way or approached me in a negative way, but I chose to respond in a healthy, more productive way. See, a lot of times people think the only way to get the result or the resolve sometimes is to fight for yourself, is to fight for yourself through negativity. Stand your ground in a way that's like fighting fire with fire. But that doesn't actually help you more times. Yeah, maybe help your ego, make you stand up for yourself, but it's going to actually just add more to the issue. But if you can be consistent in practicing full ownership of your own actions and always only lead with love or respond with love in positive ways, even when they're being negative, then now you start creating a consistency to where they're on the island by themselves being negative and they have to own those actions, right? Without being able to give them the excuse of saying, well, you're doing this back, because then it becomes a chicken or the egg analogy. And some may say, well, what if I keep being the positive person, taking the high road, right? And they keep on just cutting at me with the negative stuff. Okay, well, then that's where you should have boundaries and standards that are communicated to them and be willing to stand on it if you need to, if you've been consistent in trying to be the more positive person, trying to approach it in a positive way, respond or react in a positive way, right? Because if you have standards and boundaries and you're doing that consistently, and they are not trying to work with you as enough times pass, and you tried nothing but being a contribution to the issue, not adding fuel to the fire, then now you have to make a decision that maybe you need to walk away if they are not in the space or capable or not putting the effort into working with you. But if you have someone in your life that really does love you and you guys just really are just having these obstacles you're trying to get past, then if you are staying true to your part and your full ownership, your accountability, and not being part of the problem, but only contributing to the solution, then over time, your partner's most likely going to start to respond and match you there, right? It puts you in a better position to call them out in a constructive way, to meet you halfway, to work with you. But every time you go and you do that thing that doesn't help the situation, and you double down and justify because they did this or they said this to you, so it made you do that, you're only adding to your problem. When both of you takes full accountability, that's when you will start to break through your barriers, right? And here's the thing. It's not going to be a perfect road if you are in a situation where there's issues you guys are working through. It's going to take time, consistency over time. But you can't expect perfection out the gate. It's not going to change overnight. You have to double down and stay true to what your role is for you, because it helps you be a better person for you. So that if you do get to the point to where you tried everything you could consistently and they're not working with you, then now you know, hey, at least I did my part. And if I move on, I'm going to find someone better and I'll be a better me for that better person that's for me. Either way, you win and you never lose. If you need help building your sense of accountability, and sometimes it's the emotional intelligence to be able to navigate your emotions in a way that causes you to respond in more productive ways. If you need help building that, email me or DM me coaching if you're ready to put the work in, and we will get to it. Let's get it.